Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 2 Chronicles, the 25th chapter. And as we saw in the 24th chapter, with ending with the death of, I believe it was Joash, the king, right, who remembered not the mercy that was showed him by I believe it was Jehoiada, the priest, right, in saving his life when he was a child and raising him up in the right ways. But Joash was a king who ended up going astray, right, as he got older. So after he was assassinated by his servants, we see here that his son Amaziah is now succeeds him as king. So this is 2 Chronicles 25, verse 1. Amaziah was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehoadan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, but not with a perfect heart. Now it came to pass, when the kingdom was established to him, that he slew his servants that had killed the king, his father. So that Moabite and that Ammonite, right, that we read in the previous chapter, they were put to death here by Amaziah. But he slew not their children, but did as it is written in the law, in the book of Moses, where the Lord commanded, saying, The fathers shall not die for the children, neither shall the children die for the fathers, but every man shall die for his own sin. Okay, and when you cross-reference this verse, you'll find that here in Deuteronomy 24 and 16, the fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Now, understanding, reincarnation and the factor that it has in here, this doesn't mean that if you do wrong, because there are examples of where an individual does wrong and maybe they don't pay for it in that direct lifetime, but when they come back again in the reincarnation, that's a couple of generations down, they get that judgment upon them. All right. So your direct son, obviously, is not going to be you coming back in the reincarnation. So that would be a different spirit if the Lord was to impute your wickedness upon them. Okay. But long story short, this is the law that Amaziah referenced or deferred to in saving alive the children of the servants that slew his father. Verse 5, Moreover, Amaziah gathered Judah together and made them captains over thousands and captains over hundreds, according to the houses of their fathers, throughout all Judah and Benjamin. And he numbered them from 20 years old and above, and found them 300,000 choice men, able to go forth to war, that could handle spear and shield. He hired also 100,000 mighty men of valor out of Israel for 100 talents of silver, which is a lot. So he had a certain amount from Judah and Benjamin, and then he hired a few, or 100,000 from Israel. But there came a man of God to him, saying, O king, let not the army of Israel go with thee. For the Lord Yahweh is not with Israel, to wit, with all the children of Ephraim. So remember, a lot of the northern kings were wicked. So the Lord and a lot of the Israelites in the northern kingdom were going off. So the Lord here was saying, don't join yourself to them. Don't get help from them. Don't let their men go with your men, because the Lord is not with them. But if thou wilt go, do it. Be strong for the battle. God shall make thee fall before the enemy, for God hath power to help and to cast down. Now, when you read this in a different translation, in the NLT, it says, if you let them go with you, with your troops into battle, you will be defeated by the enemy, no matter how well you fight. God will overthrow you, for he has the power to help you or to trip you up. All right. Now, that's one way it's translated here. Um, and in NKJV, it says, "But if you go, be gone, be strong in battle. Even so, God shall make you fall before the enemy, for God has power to help and to overthrow." So do not go and fight with them as your allies, because the Lord is not dealing with them and you don't need them. And Amaziah said to the man of God, "But what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel?" And the man of God answered, "The Lord Yahweh is able to give thee much more than this." Then Amaziah separated them, to wit, the army that was come to him out of Ephraim, to go home again. Wherefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in great anger. So they were upset. It's like being deployed. They tell your ass now to take your ass back home. They were ready. And Amaziah strengthened himself and led forth his people and went to the valley of Salt, which is the right around the Dead Sea, and smote of the children of Seir 10,000, i.e. the Edomites, and other 10,000 left alive. The children of Judah left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive, and brought them onto the top of the rock, and cast them down from the top of the rock, that they all were broken in pieces. So they basically took Edomites to the high point, started pushing them off. Oh shoot. But the soldiers of the army which Amaziah sent back, the northern kingdom, the Ephraimites, or from Ephraim, that they should not go with them or with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Judah, from Samaria even unto Beth Horon, and smote 3,000 of them, and took much spoil. So they were so mad, they just took their anger out. Instead of returning back, they decided to attack some of the cities here of Judah. Now it came to pass after that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, that he brought the gods of the children of Seir, and set them up to be his gods, and bowed down himself before them, and burned incense unto them. Wherefore the anger of the Lord Yahweh was kindled against Amaziah, and he sent unto him a prophet, which said unto him, Why hast thou sought after the gods of the people, which could not deliver their own people out of their hand? You went and slew these people, and the gods they serve clearly didn't stand a chance against you slaying them, and you thought that it would make sense for you to serve those gods? If those gods could do anything, they would have at least delivered their people from your hands, no? And it came to pass, as he talked with him, that the king said unto him, Hey, art thou made of the king's counsel? I didn't think so. Forbear. So, in other words, you coming out here telling me what I can and cannot do, why I did this, you questioning me. Are you part of my counsel? All right, so be quiet. Why shouldest thou be smitten? Then the prophet forbare, and said, I know that God hath determined to destroy thee, because thou hast done this, and hast not hearkened unto my counsel. So, as the prophet is admonishing the king, he basically tells him to hold his peace, lest he should keep talking and be put to death. And the prophet said, all right, you got it, I'll leave. But, your response here has showed me that the Most High is planning to destroy you. That's why he's making sure that you're not hearkening to what I'm saying to you. Then Amaziah, king of Judah, took advice, which was counsel, though wicked counsel, and sent to Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come, let us see one another in the face. And what it means is let us meet face to face, as in go head to head, not let's have a picnic. And Joash, king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give thy daughter to my son to wife. And there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon, and trode down the thistle. Thou sayest, Lo, thou hast smitten the Edomites, and thine heart lifteth thee up to boast. Abide now at home. Why shouldest thou meddle to thine hurt, that thou shouldest fall, even thou and Judah with thee? So um, Joash here is saying, look, bro, don't go get your head gassed up. That was the whole point of that analogy, to say you ain't get your head gassed up because you were able to just go and smite some Edomites, and now you're feeling like you're the man, and now you're feeling so high and mighty that you're about to get yourself and the rest of Judah in trouble. Chill out, man. You don't want this smoke. um, and let me see here. Yeah, it's the same thing here. And we went over this also in the Book of Kings as well. But once again, right, he got his head gassed up, and so he said, "All right, I'm gonna come up against Joash." But Amaziah would not hear, for it came of God that he might deliver them into the hand of their enemies, because they sought after the gods of Edom. So the Most High hardened Amaziah's heart to where um, he wouldn't take heed to what was said, and still said, nah, we gonna come and fight you. So Joash the king of Israel went up, and they saw one another in the face, both he and Amaziah king of Judah, at Beth Shemesh, which belongeth to Judah. So that's where they met. And it wasn't just one king and another king. They came with their armies, of course. And Judah was put to the worst before Israel, and they fled every man to his tent. So they got beat. And Joash the king took Amaziah king of Judah, the son of Joash, different Joashes here, the son of Jehoahaz, at Beth Shemesh, and brought him to Jerusalem, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. So when after they had lost, right, they took Amaziah captive and brought him down with them to Jerusalem to witness what they were doing over there. So they break down his wall, and he took all the gold and the silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of God with Obed-Edom, and the treasures of the king's house, the hostages also, and returned to Samaria. So he took all his goodies. And Amaziah the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived after the death of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, 15 years. Now the rest of the acts of Amaziah, first and last, behold, are they not written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel? Now after the time that Amaziah did turn away from following the Lord Yahweh, they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. So after this battle with Joash of the northern kingdom, he lost. And he bore witness to all his stuff being taken. But he ends up, continuing to rule. They didn't kill him. And so in the process of time, Joash of the northern kingdom, he dies, and Amaziah continues to reign. But at some point in time, the Spirit came upon some individuals to conspire against Amaziah. And when he found out, he fled to Lachish, but they sent people over there to go get his ass. So it says they sent to Lachish after him and slew him there. Now remember, oftentimes in these settings, conspiracies they're like spider webs that you don't see, and as you run from one, you run into another. So they have people in agreement with them in different areas. So they were able to get him over there in Lachish. And they brought him upon horses and buried him with his fathers in the city of Judah. And that brings us to the end of the book of 2 Chronicles, the 25th chapter. As we see here, the reign of Amaziah, who is a fruit that doesn't fall too far from the tree of his father, in following the ways of the Lord in the beginning of his reign, but deviating to the end. So, Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.